Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome again to the Stoner Report. I'm Marius Stoner, Associate Editor of Cannabis Culture Magazine here at 307 West Hastings in Vancouver, bringing you another edition of this week's news. So I had a bit of a short week this week. Monday was a holiday. It was Victoria Day in Vancouver. And yesterday I had to put together my new desk, and it took me almost all day, so there wasn't not as many stories as there are this week, so it might be a little bit short. But thanks for joining me. It's kind of cloudy and a little bit rainy today in Vancouver, but fairly warm. So most of the gang is in Toronto for the Champs Expo. Jeremiah and Jody and Mr. Cookie and a bunch of other people are over there. And I'm sure that you guys were watching them, on the channel in between, so they're letting me interrupt their live streaming to do the news. So anyway, so here I am, and I'm going to get started. Medical marijuana clinical trial is a first for Canada. Canada's first medical marijuana clinical trial has been registered with Health Canada, a milestone that could be the first step towards legitimacy in the eyes of the medical community. The trial will measure the effects of marijuana on patients with osteoarthritis of the knee versus other patients who receive a placebo. For years, the Canadian medical establishment and Health Canada have not accepted marijuana as a legitimate form of medication, despite reports from patients who says it's an effective alternative to opiates for pain relief, and research from other countries that backs up that finding. But a Supreme Court ruling in 2000 gave Canadian patients access to medical marijuana, putting Health Canada in an awkward position of distributing a substance it officially does not condone. In April, Health Canada transferred to doctors much of the responsibility for deciding which patients can access medical marijuana, a move that did not sit well with the Canadian Medical Association. The lack of clinical trials on the efficacy and side effects of marijuana has been a major sticking point for many doctors. They are used to prescribing pharmaceuticals whose dosages have been determined by clinical studies. The upcoming Health Canada approved trial will focus on vaporized cannabis, helping to ease doctors' objections over the use of dried marijuana, which they say encourages smoking. Colorado will spend $10 million researching marijuana's medical benefits. Colorado Governor John Hickenlooper signed a bill Wednesday that will fund up to $10 million for research into medical efficacy of marijuana. SB 155 invests the dollars collected from medical marijuana fees into a meaningful effort to study the therapeutic and medical benefits of the drug, said State Representative Chris Anta Duran, a co-sponsor of the bill, told the Huffington Post. Patients will benefit from this investment, and Colorado will become a national leader in developing medical marijuana research. The bill states that the research will help Colorado determine which medical conditions should be added to the state's current list of 8 ailments that make patients eligible for medical marijuana. It will also help physicians better understand the biochemical effects of prescribed marijuana, and to the growing base of knowledge built from several state-funded medical cannabis research programs about proper dosing, and possibly allow the state to conduct clinical trials, the bill outlines. The bill is exciting because it gives researchers the opportunity to show why and how marijuana works, and to do research that the federal government refuses to conduct. Mike Elliott of Marijuana Industry Group told HuffPost. The research will be funded through the state's $10 million medical marijuana program cash fund. Minnesota to become the 22nd state to allow legalized medical marijuana. It took years, many false starts, and a veto, but Minnesota medical marijuana advocates finally succeeded in getting a bill that's on track to become law in a matter of days. A broad bipartisan majority of state lawmakers in the Minnesota House of Representatives approved legislation to provide access to medical cannabis to improve the quality of life of Minnesotans with serious medical conditions on Friday. The bill passed by a vote of 89 to 40. The Senate passed the same bill earlier Friday by a vote of 46 to 16. It now heads to Governor Mark Dayton, who says he will sign it into law. The compromise bill, announced Thursday by the Dayton administration, state lawmakers and advocates, addresses the medical community's desire for medical oversight and for gathering quality information about patients' health impacts while accommodating the safety and security concerns of the law enforcement community. Rice County Sheriff Troy Dunn said that although he was pleased that a compromise was finally reached, he was concerned that there would be too many distributors and about the potential for regulation difficulty. I like that they're going to regulate the distributors. I'm also happy that they're using the liquid extracts and taking the THC out and other things that have side effects, Dunn said. I just don't want us to move too fast and have multiple distributors like Colorado did. I like Minnesota's way of going about it cautiously. Also, I think it will be difficult to regulate people with a legal prescription who drive under the influence. Well, Mr. Dunn, all I can say is that you're an idiot. There's no reason to have to be cautious about growing a natural plant that has been with us and has been used by people for thousands and thousands of years. And obviously you haven't read any of the research on driving and marijuana, which shows that, you know, there's hardly any effect, or people are just more cautious when they're driving. So, screw you, Mr. Dunn. Get educated before you talk to people. A medical marijuana bill clears a major hurdle in New York. A bill to legalize medical marijuana in New York cleared a major hurdle in Albany Tuesday as the Senate Health Committee passed the Compassionate Care Act by slim bipartisan vote of 9 to 8. This vote is an enormous milestone in our quest to bring safe and reliable medical marijuana treatment to patients all across our state, said the bill's sponsor, State Senator Diane Savino, in a statement. Today, the Senate has taken a decisive first step in moving this legislation forward. Savino has said she has 40 votes in the Senate, including from 5 Republicans, which is enough for the bill to pass if it comes to the floor for a vote. Tuesday's Health Committee decision puts the bill one big step closer to that happening. Last month, Savino amended the Compassionate Care Act to make it more agreeable to Republicans in the state Senate. LowHUD.com reported that the new version of the bill would allow only those over 21 to smoke marijuana for medical purposes. Those under 21 would have to use alternative methods of ingesting cannabis, such as using oils. The new version also listed a specific set of illnesses for which medical marijuana could be prescribed. The Democrat-controlled state assembly has repeatedly passed the Compassionate Care Act, only to have it stall in the Republican-controlled Senate. Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo has previously indicated that if the bill were to pass both the Assembly and the Senate, he would sign it. The Illinois House approves of medical cannabis for epileptic kids. Minors suffering from epilepsy should be allowed to use medical marijuana to reduce seizures, the Illinois House voted on Wednesday. Kids under 18 could be allowed to use medical marijuana after the House in Illinois expanded the state's medical pot law to include epileptic children. The plan to let minors use medical marijuana passed 98 to 18 in the House on Wednesday and will now go back to the state Senate. It was passed there in April, but now will be reviewed as the House made an amendment stipulating that marijuana must not be smoked. Okay, I'm going to take a break now because I'm almost out of stories, and I don't think I'm going to make it to 2:20 today, so You know, when people tell me not to do something, I just want to do it anyway. So since marijuana must not be smoked, I'm going to smoke some. There we go. So I hope you guys are doing well out there. What's going on in chat? You guys having fun there? Smoking lots of stuff? Derpino and Ursa. Good to see you all there. Yeah, don't forget that after this show, we'll be back in Toronto with more live coverage of the Champs Expo. Oh, I'm sorry you ain't smoking, Ursa. Good luck in finding stuff soon, I hope. Yes, things are pretty relaxed around here. Don't know what else to say except for we're getting more and more excited about Mark Emery coming home. Like I said, I got a new desk. We're all being all classy and professional. It's just going to be it's going to be hard to imagine what it's going to be like when Mark's back. Is all I can really say. So if you can, don't forget to go to freemark.ca and find out if you can send him a letter. Because the last couple of months, I'm sure he's going to be the most antsy. We're all getting antsy too, and Jody is antsy. But you guys can help, so send Mark a letter. All right, go back to the news then. This is a story from New Jersey that's similar to something that happened in Calgary with Mama Kind, who wrote the book on stoner sex. I don't know if you remember her. She wasn't allowed to vaporize in her hospital either, and that was a big issue. Relief of medical marijuana off limits at New Jersey hospitals. Jackson Storms, a 14-year-old with severe epilepsy, started walking again, lost his double vision, and stopped using 3 highly addictive narcotic medications after his mother began giving him medical marijuana. But when Jackson was hospitalized last week, he was told he couldn't use it. As the use of medical marijuana spreads across the nation, Jackson Storm's case stands as just one example of the difficult issues surrounding how, when, and where the drug can be used. I don't think the issues are really that difficult, they're just some people are being difficult. Although New Jersey law permits the use of marijuana for people who suffer from certain conditions, officials at Hackensack University Medical Center said that if they permitted patients to use the drug there, it would jeopardize the hospital's license as well as federal funds it receives. Federal authorities view marijuana as an illegal Schedule I drug. We are awaiting guidance from the Department of Justice, says Dr. Jeffrey Boscap, chairman of the Children's Hospital at HUMC. We feel we would be in a legal no man's land with the federal government. We put all our licenses in jeopardy, every grant in jeopardy, unless we get some Department of Justice guidance. But Jenny Storms, Jackson's mother, believes she should be allowed to give her son the marijuana that has been so effective in treating his condition. These people. The U.S. blocks legal marijuana growers from using federal irrigation water. The feds will not allow government water to be used for the growing of a Schedule I controlled substance. Cannabis farms cannot take advantage of water from federal irrigation projects, the U.S. Interior Department announced. The announcement is a major setback for growers in the states of Washington and Colorado, where both recreational and medical marijuana is legal. The Bureau of Reclamation, the branch of the Interior Department that maintains dams, power plants, and canals in the 17 western states, reaffirmed that the growers cannot use water supplied through the federal system. The Bureau helps provided irrigation water to about 1.2 million acres of land in Colorado and Washington. As a federal agency, Reclamation is obliged to adhere to federal law in the conduct of its responsibilities to the American people, Dan Dubray, the Bureau's Chief of Public Affairs, told NBC News. The Bureau said it would refer any violations to the Justice Department. We're not an investigative agency. We're an agency that provides water to irrigation districts, said Dubray. The limit of our proactive stance is that if asked, we are not approving it, and if we become aware of it, we report it. Yeah. And coming up on the last story for the day, like I said, it's going to be a short show. Hemp seeds could be released to Kentucky soon. Hemp seeds could be released by the federal officials to the Kentucky Department of Agriculture by Thursday as disagreements between the states and U.S. officials appear resolved. The state agricultural department, as of Tuesday, is registered with the Drug Enforcement Administration to impart controlled substances and was in the process Wednesday of getting a permit for the 250-pound shipment that has been held at Louisville International Airport for more than a week by order of the DEA. The delay prompted the Kentucky Department to sue the DEA and other federal agencies to get the seed released in time to be planted by June 1st for the 8 pilot projects. Those efforts, authorized under this year's Farm Bill, would be Kentucky's first hemp crop in decades. We've now worked out a process and, thus far, things are going very well, said Holly von Lurte, the General Counsel for the Agricultural Department. It's a much less adversarial process now. I'm hopeful that we'll have this fully resolved. There was essentially one issue relating to the permit, remaining to be discussed during a hearing Wednesday before the U.S. District Senior Judge John G. Haber II, who has acted largely as a mediator in the lawsuit. That issue was a line on the DEA form for registrants to indicate how much seed went where. An attorney for the DEA agreed that Kentucky officials could submit a not-to-exceed number for each of the pilot projects rather than specific amounts. All right, so that was the Stoner Report for the 23rd of May. Thanks again for joining me. Stay tuned. I'm sure we'll be going back to the Champs Expo after this. Yeah, don't forget to write Mark a letter and come down to 307 West Hastings and maybe buy some stuff. I think we still have hemp hoodlums on sale for 50% off and free Mark hoodies while they last for 50% off and all sorts of cool stuff in our store. And if you just want to come chill out and smoke some weed in the Vapor Lounge, come on down. You gotta bring your own bud, of course. But yeah, come visit us, say hi to me or Jeremiah or Jody or Marijuana Man. And yeah, so don't forget, until next week, that marijuana is the most advanced plant on the planet, and we're going to use it to save ourselves and save the world. 20 minutes. Happy 2:20 to everybody, and happy 4:20 to the Central Mountain Time for anybody that happens to be watching. I guess I'll spark up my joint. And until next week, I bid you all adieu. Take care.